All right, let's dive into one of the most powerful and, honestly, unsettling novels ever written, William Golding's Lord of the Flies. Now, this is way more than just a story about some kids stranded on an island. It's really a chilling experiment designed to answer a massive question about who we really are deep down.
And this is the question right at the heart of it all. I mean, think about it. If you strip away every single rule, get rid of every adult, and remove all the comforts and structures of society, what's left? What are we, really, underneath all of that?
So on the surface, it feels like an adventure story. A bunch of boys, a tropical island, what could go wrong? But Golding is setting up this very specific scenario to explore that razor-thin line that separates our civilized selves from, well, total and utter chaos.
And to really get this book, you have to understand the guy who wrote it. William Golding was in the Royal Navy during World War II. He saw the absolute worst of what humanity could do, the Holocaust, the atom bomb, and it just completely shattered that old pre-war idea that people are naturally good and always progressing. This novel was his way of wrestling with that horrible new reality.
So Golding creates what's basically the perfect laboratory. A plane goes down, and a group of British schoolboys are stranded on a deserted island. This is their big chance, right? To build a perfect society totally from scratch. I think you can probably guess how that's going to turn out.
And at first, it actually looks pretty promising. They do all the right things, trying to copy the world they just left. They elect a leader, a kid named Ralph. They find this conch shell and make it a rule you can only speak if you're holding it. Super democratic. They build shelters. And most important of all, they keep a signal fire going. That's their one link back to civilization, their only real hope. But, yeah, it doesn't last.
Because all that order, all those rules, they're built on a foundation of sand. And it doesn't take long for fear, for the raw hunger for power, and just their own primal instincts to bubble up to the surface. And when they do, that fragile little society they've built starts to crack.
This really captures the core battle of the whole novel. On one side, you've got civilization, rules, working together, thinking logically, and on the other, you've got this powerful pull of savagery, fear, instinct, and that raw desire for power. But here's the key. This isn't just some external fight. It's a war being waged inside every single one of those boys on the island. And Golding makes this internal war crystal clear through his characters. I mean, each boy isn't just a kid. They're basically the living embodiment of an idea. You've got Ralph, who stands for order and democracy. Then there's Jack, who's all about primal instinct and the thrill of the hunt. Port Piggy is the voice of science and reason. And then you have Simon, who represents this kind of pure, natural goodness. The symbols in the book are just as huge. That conch isn't just a shell, it's democracy itself. As long as they respect it, there's order. The second it shatters, their whole society shatters right along with it. The fire is their hope, their connection to home. When they let it go out, they're basically giving up. And then there's the beast.
The beast. The boys become completely obsessed with hunting some monster they think is lurking in the jungle. But here's Golding's terrifying twist. The beast isn't some creature in the trees. The beast is the darkness inside of them. It's their own fear, their own capacity for violence, just projected onto the shadows of the island.
And that brings us right to Golding's bigger message. This wasn't just a story for him. It was a serious warning to a world that had just seen unimaginable horrors and was desperately trying to figure out how it all could have possibly happened. The boys' journey from these well-behaved, uniformed school kids to painted, spear-wielding savages, that's a direct metaphor for the world's loss of innocence after World War II. It was a brutal lesson. Being educated, being civilized, none of it was a guarantee against our own darkest impulses. And here it is. This is probably the most chilling argument in the whole book. Golding is suggesting that savagery isn't something we learn. It's not something that comes from the outside. It's already in us. All of society's rules and laws are just this thin, fragile layer holding it back. Take those away, and this is what we become.
So why on earth are we still talking about a book that was written over 70 years ago? Well, because Golding's Island experiment is still playing out all around us, every single day.
It's because these themes are absolutely timeless. I mean, just look around. We see leaders using fear to grab power, exactly like Jack did with the beast. We see how groupthink can make people abandon all reason. And anytime there's a crisis, we see that exact same struggle between cooperation and every person for themselves. Golding's Island is everywhere. So what's the big takeaway from Lord of the Flies?
It's this. Civilization isn't some final destination we've arrived at. It's a fragile thing, like those flimsy shelters the boys built. It's something that has to be actively maintained and protected every day by every single one of us.
And that leaves us with one last, pretty unsettling question to think about. When you look at our own world, with all its conflicts and pressures, what's protecting that fragile veneer for us? The boys had a conch shell and they smashed it. So what's our conch shell? And more importantly, how carefully are we holding it?